Funny thing about blessings. People think they fall out of the sky, wrapped in gold and glory, with fireworks announcing their arrival. No, that's the illusion, the pretty version. The truth is much darker, much quieter, and far more unsettling. Before anything big comes your way, the world has this habit of testing you, shaking you, stripping you down until you're raw. It whispers warnings in the form of chaos. It hands you strange signals dressed as pain, confusion, or loss. And most people miss them. They brush them off, laugh at them, call them coincidences. But nothing is ever just coincidence. It's funny. Isn't it how everyone worships the idea of building, of growing, of reaching higher and higher, but no one likes the demolition. They want skyscrapers without wrecking balls, palaces without rubble, progress without chaos. But the universe doesn't play that game. No, it's much more clever than that. Collapse always comes before construction. Always. Because before something new can rise, the old foundation has to crack, has to crumble, has to turn into dust. Otherwise, you're stacking beauty on top of rot, dreams on top of lies, castles on top of sand. And sand doesn't hold anything for long. The collapse is never pretty. It's loud, messy, terrifying. It's the part where you're clutching at walls, begging them to stand, knowing deep down they were never strong enough in the first place. That's the trick. It's not the destruction of something perfect. It's the exposure of weakness that was already there. You just didn't want to look at it. The collapse forces you to look. Forces you to admit the truth you've been hiding from yourself. Think about it. Every time in your life you've risen, every time you've grown, it started with something breaking, didn't it? A friendship, a job, a version of yourself you thought would last forever. The ground split open, and you cursed it, screamed at it, begged for the pieces to fit back together. But when the dust cleared, there was something raw, something real, waiting to be rebuilt. Not the same as before, better, sharper, truer. That's the pattern. Destruction, then design. Death, then birth. Collapse, then construction. But people hate collapse because it feels like punishment. They don't understand that the cracks are mercy. The cracks are freedom. You thought the walls kept you safe, but really they kept you small, blind, locked in a prison you called comfort. And comfort is the cruelest prison of all. The collapse is the jailbreak, the shattering of the illusion. It's violent, Yes, but so is birth. Blood, screaming chaos, yet out of it comes life. And the funniest part, you only ever appreciate the construction after you've survived the collapse. No one thanks the storm while it's ripping their house apart. No one calls it a blessing when their floor caves in. But once the rubble clears, once they breathe again, once they see the new horizon open up before them, then they whisper, I see why it had to happen. They see the design hidden in the disaster. They see that nothing was taken away, only replaced with something stronger, something that could actually last. So maybe the next time everything falls apart, maybe when the ceiling crashes down and the world feels like it's caving in on you, don't waste your breath asking, why me? Ask, what's being built? Because the universe doesn't collapse things for sport. It collapses them because it knows what's rotten, what's weak, what can't carry the weight of the future. It tears it down because it's preparing you for something you can't see yet, something you're not ready to hold. But here's the catch. You have to let it fall. You can't cling to the rubble, can't glue the old pieces back together, can't pretend that ruins make a home. Let it burn, let it crumble, let it end. Only then does the construction begin. Only then can something real take shape where lies once stood. Because collapse is never the end. It's the blueprint for what comes next. You ever notice how silence terrifies people? They can't sit in it. They scramble for noise, for chatter, for distraction. They fill the air with empty words, half-baked thoughts, meaningless laughter. Anything to avoid the sound of nothing. But silence is where the real power lies. It's where truth hides. It's where clarity speaks, but only to the ones brave enough to listen. Most people don't want to listen. They want the comfort of sound, not the sharpness of truth. Silence is dangerous because it doesn't protect your illusions. Noise does that. Noise distracts. Comfort smothers. Silence strips all of that away. In silence, you're forced to face yourself. No masks, no excuses, no applause. Just you. Your thoughts, your shadows, your scars. And that's the moment people panic. Because they don't like what they find. They'd rather bury it beneath music. Arguments, gossip, scrolling, anything but the stillness. But silence is not your enemy. It's your mirror. And if you dare to stare into it long enough, it will show you what the noise has been hiding all along. Think about predators. The most dangerous ones don't roar. They don't announce their presence. They wait. They watch. They stay silent. Because silence is strategy. Silence is patience. Silence is control. The fool thinks silence is weakness. The wise know it's a weapon. When you hold your tongue, when you don't reveal what you know, when you don't jump to defend yourself, you force the other side to expose themselves. They talk too much. They reveal too much. They dig their own graves while you watch quietly. Silence is the rope they use to hang themselves. But here's the part people miss. Silence is not passive. It's not sitting there, lifeless, empty. Silence is active. It's the tighten of the bow before the arrow flies. It's the inhale before the scream. It's the storm gathering strength before it breaks the sky. The world sees nothing happening, but beneath the surface, everything is happening. That's why silence unsettles people. They can feel its weight, even if they don't understand it. They sense something is coming, something brewing, something inevitable. Silence also protects your blessings. You ever notice how fragile dreams are when you speak them too soon? You share your plans, your visions, your secrets, and suddenly they don't feel as powerful anymore. Suddenly, they're weighed down by opinions, doubts, envy. But when you keep them in silence, they grow stronger, protected, unseen, like seeds in the soil, buried, invisible, but alive. And when they finally break through, no one can stop them because they've already taken root. That's the magic of silence. It gives life space to grow in the dark. And yet, silence isn't just about keeping secrets. It's also about restraint. It's about knowing that not every battle requires your voice. Not every insult deserves your answer. Not every attack needs your reaction. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. That drives people insane because they want your energy, your anger, your defense. But when you give them silence, you rob them of control. You leave them fighting shadows, punching air, screaming into a void. And nothing breaks a person faster than realizing they can't provoke you. The irony is, silence makes noise louder. In a room full of voices, everyone talks over each other. But let one person go quiet, truly quiet, and suddenly all the sound collapses around it. People feel it. They notice it. They become curious, suspicious, unsettled. Silence commands attention without ever asking for it. That's why silence is not absence. its presence amplified. And the real test: can you sit in your own silence without fear? Can you embrace the stillness long enough to hear your own mind, your own soul, your own truth? Because if you can, you become untouchable. You stop chasing noise, stop feeding distractions, stop dancing to the rhythm of chaos. You learn to wait, to watch, to move when it's time, and not a second sooner. And when you finally do act, it's devastating because no one saw it coming. They were too busy talking, too busy laughing, too busy drowning in their own noise. That's the thing about silence. It's the most underestimated force in the world. But underestimate it, and it will consume you. Understand it, and it will make you unstoppable. People think signs are loud, obvious. We glowing in the dark like neon arrows pointing the way. They imagine a booming voice from the sky, a lightning bolt splitting the earth, a miracle too big to miss. But that's the lie. The truth is, signs are subtle. They whisper, they nudge, they hide in plain sight, and only the ones who are paying attention catch them. Everyone else, they stumble right past, blind, too distracted, too busy with noise and chaos. That's the cruel joke of life. Answers are always there, but most people don't see them until it's too late. You ever wonder why, before the biggest shifts, the atmosphere feels heavy? Not physically, but something in the air feels off. Conversations don't flow the same. Your sleep is restless. Your spirit feels unsettled. You can't explain it, but you feel it, like a storm pressing down, even though the sky looks clear. That's not coincidence. That's the first sign. The shift in energy, the invisible weight. But people ignore it. They medicate it, scroll it away, laugh it off. They don't stop to ask why they feel what they feel. And so, they miss the warning. They miss the signal. Then comes the second sign. Things start falling apart. Doors close, relationships crumble, plans backfire. And instead of realizing something bigger is being rearranged, people panic. They cling tighter to what's collapsing. They beg for broken doors to open. They fight to keep what was never meant to stay. They don't see that destruction is often the first stage of construction. They don't understand that loss is sometimes the only way to clear the space for gain. The sign was right in front of them, but their fear blinded them. They thought life was punishing them, when in reality, life was preparing them. And the third sign, it's always the quietest one. A strange peace comes. After all the storms, all the chaos, all the noise, there's this eerie calm. People mistake it for emptiness, but it's not emptiness. It's alignment. It's the world holding its breath before handing you what you've been waiting for. But most people can't sit still in that silence. They get restless. They mistake the calm for nothing happening, and so they sabotage it. They rush back into chaos, chasing noise, chasing control. They don't know that blessings come silently, slipping through the cracks when you finally stop forcing. The funny thing is, everyone begs for signs. They pray for guidance. They scream for answers. But when the signs come, they're dismissed as coincidence, ignored as inconvenience, or rejected because they don't look the way people expected. They wanted a golden door, but got a slammed one. They wanted a clear sky, but got a storm. They wanted a voice, but got silence. They don't understand that the universe rarely gives you what you want in the wrapping you expect. It gives you what you need, disguised in the discomfort you resist. And here's the cruel part. Signs don't wait. They pass by like shadows, fleeting, quick. If you don't catch them, they don't pause for you. They move on, leaving you behind to wonder why life feels stuck. People keep walking in circles, never realizing the path was shown to them again and again. But they refuse to follow it because it didn't look like the fantasy in their heads. That's the tragedy of blindness. You see only what you want, not what is. But for the ones who do notice, everything changes. Because once you learn how to read signs, you stop panicking in storms. You stop begging broken doors to stay open. You stop fighting against endings. You begin to see the bigger picture. You realize that chaos is a message. Silence is a message. Loss is a message. Nothing is random. Every detail, every shift, every crack in the pattern is telling you something. The world is speaking always. The question is, are you listening? People wait for blessings like they wait for a train at a station. Sitting there, staring at the tracks, thinking it's going to come right on schedule, right when they're comfortable, right when they're ready. But blessings don't work like that. They don't follow your timetable. They arrive when the chaos is loudest, when you're broken, when you're raw, when you least expect it and least feel worthy of it. That's the twist. The gift doesn't come wrapped in gold paper. It comes disguised in pain, loss, or silence. And that's why so many people miss it. They wanted a miracle that looked beautiful, not one that crawled out of ashes. See, there's a pattern to how blessings show up. Before the big ones, life always rearranges itself. That means things fall apart, people leave, plans collapse. What you thought was permanent suddenly crumbles in your hands. And while you're screaming, "Why me?" the answer is staring back, because you needed room, because you were too attached to the wrong people, the wrong habits, the wrong illusions. And so the destruction is the doorway. But humans hate that. They call it bad luck. They call it unfair. But they never stop to ask, what if this isn't punishment at all? What if it's preparation?